Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show on my second channel, Nathan Oakley. Be sure to subscribe if you've not done so already. If you're new to the channel, also smash that super chat as it runs alongside this premiering show on my second channel. We are also joined by a panel full of people as the first live show has just finished. Be sure to tune in again for the uncut and pre-show version of that, which was the last upload on this Nathan Oakley channel. So I'm going to cut across to the live panel so we can catch up with them while I set up the show for the second live show on my main channel, Nathan Oakley 1980. So let's pass across to them and see what's going on.
It's exactly the same image, and it's like, how is this possible?
Also, no, the bottom isn't like cut off at all here. You can see the whole lighthouse, is it?
No, there's a bit of that reflection going on. You know, the thing that Ranty's pointing out.
Yeah. All right. So according to the calculation completely from this distance.
Zindy, you're breaking up pretty bad.
Or should be more
internet
structured. Yeah, I know. I have really bad internet connection right now.
Did P get kicked or did he leave?
I didn't kick him.
He left.
Did UKPI get kicked or did he leave?
I kicked him.
he made himself look terrible then. But just remember, Nathan, that these have got to repackage every loss or every blemish on their character or their record. They've got to repackage it as a victory always, no matter what.
And we saw the extremes they'll take it to when Sean was defending the Geo Whisperer.
Yeah, that's exactly another good example where they have to make it into a repackaged promotion material exercise.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yep.
Man, my subscriber base
Geo
has been
Whisperer
growing.
has Geo Whisperer completely disappeared from the scene?
I don't know. I never kept up with them in the first place. I only find out about it when Anthony dabbles with them.
Wow.
Man,
That's pretty sad.
I got 762 subscribers now.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's growing rapidly.
It's a proper pain in the ass, but if I can multicast in the morning and get in with your show, it's very time consuming setting up the show the way I have it so that anyone can join. And that's
you know, if you want to do something like that, then actually take part in the conversation.
Yeah, because last time I joined, I joined thinking, great, you know, I'm helping, I'm you know, it's going to go out on the second channel. But ultimately speaking, I'm still setting up mine, so it's not like I'm paying a great deal of attention to what's being said on the panel. So I get it, but you know, from that point of view, I'll end up joining and not saying anything just because I'm actually setting up. But that's always going to be the way with the show that's before mine. You know, I'm setting up while you're keeping the audience busy, which is great. You know, I've got to tune into it more as well. Maybe I'll just do that. You know, actually have it running in the background. So yeah, tune into Arwin.
Cool, that would be cool. Or you could like join a half hour and then just drop and set everything up.
It doesn't give me enough time. But anyway.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there's a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video. Most importantly though, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Zinda, SX, Sleeping Warrior, Earth Music or Music Flat Earth, I think it is, Jose, Flatten Earth, Daniel, Chocolate Saying, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello,
guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So, because of the last show predominantly being about Miles Delia Davis, we didn't really cover much of the housekeeping, so we'll try and rattle through it. We'll see how we do. Any signs of curvature?
No.
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 Not of the Earth-based variety.
And there's definitely no curvature up at that observation of Miles Delia Davis. Let's just be clear.
Agreed. Any signs of axial rotation?
No.
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 This morning, No.
Of the Earth-based
not-
variety?
Exactly, no.
What about gas pressure without a container for all those people that believe in space?
Never.
No. No.
Not in reality, not in theory, only in your imagination.
What about scientific evidence for gravity?
No.
No.
It's an aberration.
No.
The different phenomena seem to collide, but they have no
Just say no, Aaron. Just
provable,
say no.
unified coherence.
He still can't let it go, can he?
It is something.
It isn't.
It is.
Can you prove it?
No.
Gotta
So it's
start
nothing.
putting
But
gravity
these
at the end.
phenomena are there.
What phenomena?
The density buoyancy layer realignment when forces are applied,
Okay.
the free fall effect, all these things, they are there, and they do point out at a force disequilibrium downward in the stationary fashion of the Earth, but it is only an
digging holes.
aberration. It just looks.
Stop digging a massive hole.
I'm not digging any hole. I'm just decorating the place.
You understand that there's no such thing as down, right?
Right.
It's more dense or less dense,
Right.
and it's relative to the medium that you're in.
Yeah, relative density.
Yeah.
Relative
That's
density.
when concerning density and buoyancy, and I don't deny that.
Yeah, but we're not. There is nothing else.
No, there is more to life than just density and buoyancy. Yeah,
It's relative density and buoyancy.
whatever you
Well,
want to
just
call
relative density, I would say. The buoyancy bit's kind of redundant.
So can we move on?
I
it. Why
don't
don't you
know.
just say it?
don't know, you tell me.
There's no proof for gravity, but it is an aberration.
Need
Just
a
say
pop
it, right?
filter
You
or,
can do
or
it.
back off your mic a
Not
little
an
bit.
aberration.
Pop, pop, pop.
It is. It is. Why don't you look up the definition of aberration? It is an aberration.
All right, you
Go on then,
tell us.
let's do it. Let's get your screen shared and let's have a look at aberration.
Hang on.
I hear that
tell
word
us
a lot from you the last couple of weeks.
What's the it's that you're describing as an aberration?
Hold on. Enter key. Aberration. Right. A departure from what is normal, usual, or expected. Typically, an unwelcome one.
But we do expect it. Relative density. We expect it to happen.
No, but we're talking about gravity now. We know
No.
that density, relative density works.
Well, that brings us
That's
back to
fine.
the housekeeping question. So what's the scientific evidence of gravity again?
There is none.
So it's just made up word then?
No, it's a collection of phenomena
All right, so
that have no correlation, even though it seems.
Oh,
they
that's
do.
nice.
what's the
So
phenomena?
spot a load of things happening and call it something.
I just said what the phenomena were, Riley. Don't make me repeat myself
Yeah, but
again.
That's
What's
step
the
one.
phenomena that's
Hold
not
on.
dense?
If we're talking in those terms, looking at phenomena, that's a scientific term, isn't it? Step one, observe a phenomena. So that's step one in the scientific method.
Right.
Right. Well, that doesn't give you anything. It just gives you an
Yeah,
observation
it does.
of
It
phenomena.
does. These
If you
phenomena
say-
do
but
exist.
That's what you, hold
and
on,
they are
Aaron.
not
Hold
just
on.
explained
You
by
just said it's a
density and
collection
buoyancy per
of
default.
observed phenomena. That's what you said. It's a collection of them. Collection of observed phenomena. Well,
Right.
that's a collection of step 1 in the scientific method.
No, I know. Hey, did I say that I could use it in a scientific setup? No, I even explained why not. So
The problem is that gravity is alleged to be a cause of things, and science exclusively tries to establish the cause of things.
I know. That's
and
the
you've got-
delusional religious interpretation of it.
But that's Anthony's
That's
point.
what the Globers do.
But that's your...
No, that's
Anthony's
not.
point.
No, Arwinian gravity here. Just gravity.
Oh, here we go.
In a
He's even
general
given it
sense.
his name. God.
Force disequilibrium. We know what we're talking about here.
Yeah,
Come on.
relative
You know Jamie
density.
Brown.
Relative density.
Arwen, you know Jamie Brown?
Oh,
You know
oh
his
God.
book?
Oh God, this is descending fast.
Well, you know Jamie Brown's having a like I'm not quite sure what best to describe it, but maybe we could call it like a position crisis where he's not quite sure what his position is.
Yeah, it's the autumn. I know.
I'm going to compare Jamie's position with yours.
Nah.
You seem to be in a position where you've backslid by about maybe 6 weeks because like 6 weeks ago,
I
you
don't.
were all right with this. But now
I don't think so, Riley.
we seem to be.
Don't you even go there? No, it's ridiculous.
We seem to be
No,
back. at the
I'm
start.
adamant about my statements.
I know you're adamant, but there's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
evidence to support it.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
what-
how can you compare me to Jamie Brown and what he's going through? It's ridiculous.
Well,
Don't
because
do
he
it.
seems to have backslid to a certain point in time, and that seems to be what you've done too.
Can I just
What
say...
are you talking about? I
Hold on,
progressed.
let me just split this up
my
a second.
work.
Let me just
That's
push,
what I'm
push
saying,
you
I don't
apart.
think this
Let me
is
push you
progress.
apart.
It is
Can I
progress.
just say, Arwen?
It is clear-cut definition of it.
Arwen, we are here for both of you and Jamie.
Right. Well, thank you for that. But I'll do fine on my own if I need to. But hey, I still enjoy doing this show and my own show even more.
That wasn't a threat to kick you out.
Don't reject it. We're trying to console you and be here for you. Come on, don't push us away.
Well,
So, can we
you
move
don't
on
need to
from
get
the
all
gravity
softy
point?
on me, okay? I'm not a social justice warrior.
we don't want to use the word intervention, but we will if we have to.
You don't need to, because I'm on your side. There is no scientific evidence for gravity. Okay?
We know. We're here
You
for
need
you too.
you need to concede that I conceded, and then
Hang on, hang
let
on.
me talk about stuff.
We had conceded that you conceded it, but now you're bringing it back up again. That means that you haven't really conceded it.
Well, you bring it up all the time, and I like to reference
don't.
the journey that I
reckon-
went through
you
and
know what I
my
think's
final
happening here?
conclusion on it.
Arwen has spotted that Miles has done this trick with his perspective omitting proof of nothing, our assuming curve calculator, and he's basically gone, hang on a second. If Miles the Liar Davis can just put things back into an orthographic view and say he's won something, then I can just reassert gravity. If they can do it, I can do it. That's my yardstick. That's what I reckon he's doing.
No,
And
I
if
don't
we
think
let
so.
Miles get away with it, we'll never hear the end of it with bloody Arwen.
No, but it's not the same because gravity is actually used in a practical way.
Why don't you
Doubling
wanna
down.
know
See,
this, Arwen?
see, told you we'd never hear the end of it.
Architects use it in their
Pound says we'll never hear the end
their
of this.
modeling all the time.
You got to pummel Miles, right? Because if Miles is going to get away with putting things 90 degrees adjacent to the observer, then god damn it, if he thinks he's getting away with it, then Arwen's going to keep trying to get away with this. I'm telling you now.
Well, if you could please provide a alternative modeling system applying only the relative density principles that architects could replace the gravity system with, that would be very much appreciated. And then, well, maybe then if you could actually do that,
Hold on, that is
Nathan,
contained
my screen.
within.
then
That is
maybe
contained
gravity
within.
could be become completely
It is
superfluous.
contained within the description of relative density, Arwen. All they're doing is measuring it through air and calling it weight. But it's contained, obviously, relative density is far more expansive than just
Well,
mere
why don't
weight.
you model it out
Just
for
the
them
mere
then?
weight of things in air, that's just one little tiny part of relative density, believe it or not.
Nathan, present my screen. Let's do this presentation for Arwen.
Oh, God, is it like with
No.
PMARS? Are we
No,
gonna
you
have
don't
to go
need
back
to. I
everything?
heard all this shit 1,000 times.
Oh, God,
okay?
it's doing a PMARS.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
no.
Arwen,
Hold on.
this is your fault,
Gonna
man.
try and remember the
Just
housekeeping
say
question
no,
we left off
Well,
on.
I'll leave
proof.
if that's what you want.
Don't leave, Arwen. But let's not
Blasphemy
that.
with
Nobody's
gravity,
trying to tell you
I'll
to leave.
leave.
While the hangout's getting rumpus by everybody, I'm just going to say that I can't call it a happy tomato. That's a reification fallacy. So it's no longer the happy tomato. But anyway, we might get there. We'll see how much rumpusing there is.
Arwin, we're just trying to say that there's no extra phenomena that you can attribute to this.
I know. I
Okay,
know
so
what
why
you're
not
saying.
then?
I know that you love to deny everything.
It's not
Everything.
denial.
Some of us want
There's
to see
only
a
what
quick
you can prove,
explanation.
and everything
A happy
else you
cherry
just
tomato.
don't look at it. It's
No,
not
that's
there.
a reification
Cherry
fallacy.
tomato.
No, Jose. No way, Jose. That's a reification
We want to see some
fallacy.
happy cherry tomatoes. Come on,
It's
we're
not
going to be
happy.
quick.
That's a reification fallacy. It's not real.
Right, I think what we should do is let Chocolate play mediator here. Let Chocolate talk to Arwin and just see if we can get some kind of like neutral, non-sided perspectives on it. Chocolate, what would you want to say to Arwin at this point? You got the mic.
Well, Arwen's getting mad because, you know, you guys are going at him, but it's like, Arwen, the first answer to the question is there proof of gravity? And you say no. So why don't we just move on to the next point after that? Why do we have to go into aberrations and?
Because it's relevant. Why does Riley sometimes feel like he needs to talk for 5 minutes about some Slice Parkane or anyone with every freaking question? Okay, you let him. You don't complain about it. Well, I'll just do my little background relative talk about gravity.
But it's
sometimes
that you
when
get
I feel
upset
like
about it sometimes. You seem to get like
I don't do it every
pissed off.
time. I don't do
No,
it.
I know. Yeah,
Well,
you know, I got
what's
no
the
problems
problem
with
then?
you, but it's like, I don't know, man.
The problem is,
I think it's that when we're doing the housekeeping, we just want to get through it, and if there's some type of real competition to it, then allow that. But you and Riley have had this argument for so long now. It's like, we know where you stand, we know where Riley stands. I mean,
Yeah, and yet he can't let it go. I have to be censored, basically. That's what he wants.
When will we see
Just
your work
no
on it?
and shut the fuck up, Arwin, isn't
No
it?
swearing.
Right?
No,
That's what you
no
really
swearing.
want
Arwen,
inside,
you're
Riley?
actually working
No,
on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's
live.
what you want. Just stop.
What I
Let's
want
go.
from
Talk
you,
about
Arwen,
it.
is
Why do you keep doing this?
Arwen, what I
Yeah.
want from you is if you're going to make a claim that there's some extra phenomena that's not already accounted for by relative density, then you're going to have to prove it. That's it.
Cool.
But
So explain
this is
to
their
me
argument,
how
though.
forces applying to a body of mass realigns the density buoyancy alignment.
That doesn't make sense what you just said.
No, it does.
Right, it does explain it by virtue of the medium that the things are in.
Oh, really? How?
Oh, do you want me to put it back on screen? Do we need the cherry tomato again?
Oh, yeah, the cherry tomato is actually in a stationary fashion. So explain to me how forces applying displaces the alignment.
No problem. First off, forces. Forces require movement, right?
I know that.
Right, so when something's not moving, no forces, correct?
Right.
But when something does move, if we're going to sprinkle a little bit of salt into a solution and make an egg displace itself,
That's not movement.
the egg displaces
We're not
itself.
talking about that kind of movement. We're talking
Oh,
about
right.
non-stationary movement.
Non-stationary movement.
That's what a movement
Exactly.
is.
The realignment of the density buoyancy layers, remember that thing? Relative density layer realignment when forces are applied. That's what I'm talking about. Not, oh, look, we can in a stationary setting do something. No, that's
So-
not what I'm talking about.
So
So when the
basically,
egg
hold on,
moves-
Anthony. What you want to deny is the fact that this stuff is in equilibrium. So you're saying not allowed to have that, and it's on screen.
It's not relevant.
It's totally relevant.
No, it's not relevant. I'm not trying to disprove relative density.
But that's what
How
we're
many
talking about.
freaking times
That's
do
what
I have
this
to
is.
tell you guys this?
That's what we're talking about, though.
I'm not trying to disprove it.
But what you're saying is that there's extra phenomena that is already accounted for,
Yeah,
right?
when you apply other forces to the body.
But we haven't got
That's
any
what
forces.
I'm talking about. Explain it to me.
We haven't
With your
got.
mind,
explain the
Arwen, or with
realignment.
reality.
There are no other
Is this in
forces,
your
Arwen.
mind
Yeah, there
or
are.
reality, Arwen?
No, they're
We're
not.
not talking about a stationary setting, you idiot.
They're not other forces.
We're not talking about your setup.
So show the forces then.
Well, put it in a motioning thing. Put it in an accelerating car, whatever you like. Explain the realignment.
So we have a bit of salt, and then we've got.
No, we're not talking about doing salt in a stationary thing in something. We're talking about a thing in an accelerating motion.
So you're what
Explain
you're saying,
it.
You're saying that if,
Non-stationary.
Arwen, do I have to go over there and force feed you a Xanax? Calm the fuck down.
hang on. I get what he's saying. What he's saying is that if the this cylinder is in an accelerating frame of reference, then
No.
different rules apply. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not talking about your stationary setup. I'm talking
Right.
about anything else than a stationary setup.
So if, like I said, if this cylinder was in an accelerating frame of reference, so like a slowly accelerating car, for example.
Indeed.
And what is it that you want me to explain?
Explain the density layer realignment.
Well, hang on.
Within the non-rotating setup.
We would be able to agree that if it was in an accelerating car, then the force will be caused by the car that's moving, right?
Right.
But if you're going to say that there's other forces involved, you've got to show the interaction. What's the thing that's...
I'm not asking you for the cause of the realignment. I'm asking you to explain how that works. Why does it do that? Why is there a realignment? Because, of course, in a basic setup, yeah, if you're going to accelerate something, yeah, then the acceleration is causing it. I just wonder why it does that.
It happens because of density. That's your answer.
I was going to say, is the answer not density?
Why does the alignment shift?
Because of density.
That's not an answer. Density is the process that is happening right there.
Density is not a process.
Does the realignment? Why does it take place?
Density is not a process, but you can describe a process through the relative density of the various different things.
Doesn't explain anything.
It does. If you extrapolate out from...
No, you're just saying, oh, it's the cause. It's the technical cause. But why does that happen?
Arwin, just, you know that neutral buoyancy plane thing that they all call the ISS? You know when they do that, the zero-G plane, and they get the these layered things in it, and it all like mixes all up, and that's in an accelerating frame of reference, right? The plane starts to descend quickly, and then it all mixes up.
Yeah.
Isn't that going against what you're saying, that they still realign themselves if they're in an accelerating frame of reference?
Yeah, it is neutralized in that sense. That is even more compelling part of the aberration, that there is a force disequilibrium downward in the stationary setting.
Well, if there was a realignment caused by motion or caused by acceleration, how would that apply to Earth?
In a stationary setting, it does not. But
so why would you argue
anything else?
Hang on, who cares? Or why would you argue it if it's stationary?
Because we are not stationary. We move. Movement is part of what makes us beings.
What kind of movement do we do? Oh, you mean the human?
Walking. We drive to places. We go on a bicycle. We go in an airplane. Sometimes we go, on a train, whatever. We move. Movement is also relevant to us. Yeah. We're not trees.
Is anybody else seeing a direction here?
Not really. I mean,
do you see a direction? I'm trying to understand.
Sorry, relative direction.
Pardon?
No, just joking. I said relative direction, or are you talking about where Arwen's going with this?
Yeah, where Arwen's going. I don't understand why you would choose to like make a statement about accelerating frame of reference and humans in it.
Well, because we can see how things that have lower density, like helium balloons, will actually thrust forward if you accelerate.
Oh, right. So you're right.
The alignment of all the matter within the body. So why would it be aligned in a stationary setting the way it does in the first place?
Because there's a...
And when other forces apply, suddenly it shifts. That's very suspicious. That, again, is an element, points directly. It's an aberration, part of the aberration, pointing at a force disequilibrium downwards being present at all time.
So are you saying that because when you have the balloon in the car and you accelerate, rather than the balloon go backwards, it goes forward? Are you saying that the fact that it changes the alignment because of the force of acceleration, are you saying that because of that, it must mean that we're accelerating because there's an alignment vertically?
No.
So what is it you are saying then?
I'm saying it appears that way.
So that was a yes then, wasn't it?
No, but it isn't. It just appears that way.
Are you
that's
actually
part of the aberration?
Accelerating upwards, and that's
the part of the aberration.
Are you arguing that we're accelerating upwards, and that's what the force is?
It just makes it appear that way.
No. Why does
it does. Yeah, it does.
Why does relative density not explain that perception that you've got?
Well, relative density doesn't involve itself in any kind of directionality. But directionality still exists nonetheless. It's a very nice closed loop that can work in any type of setup, no matter what. It completely makes forces superfluous, but that doesn't mean that forces and directions no longer exist. Okay?
So
it's a very nice little cage you built for your mind there, but all these other elements still are out there.
So Nathan, just present my screen again. Your words then were density, and the density alignment isn't directional. That was what you just said.
Yeah.
Well, I agree that it's not directional, but it is relative to the density of the thing that you're comparing. Like, all these numbers can be kilograms, they can be amount of feathers, they can be neuron firing. Any unit can go attached to these, but the fact that there's greater than and less than, or greater than and smaller than, gives you the alignment. And I'm not really seeing how there's anything that needs to be explained that goes beyond that.
No, it has nothing to do with the alignment. Everything just sits in a certain order, and that order is the alignment.
Right, and it's caused by the density.
Right, but it doesn't explain why that alignment would so accordingly shift when other forces are applied.
So what? Why does it need to?
So what? Well, what? Because it's out there. Because that's a phenomena that's not explained.
But it's not relevant
through
to the argument.
Your closed loop system.
How is that relevant to the argument for gravity?
Because it's a part of the aberration that points at a force disequilibrium downward being present at all time.
This argument is part of the aberration.
Right. It is all part. Every argument I make involving in gravity will be part of the aberration. Yes. That's why I declared it an aberration, and says there's no scientific proof for it. Now it's very difficult for you to grasp this. So as I said when I first started saying that, you need some time to let it sink.
Well, I'm trying to understand it.
I know. You need some time to let it sink.
It's not letting it sink. It's trying to understand it.
You will eventually figure it out. And we will back and forth about it for a while. Eventually, you will get it.
Explain the directional realignment better. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that what you're doing is literally word salading us to death, and we're trying to understand it.
Yeah, a lot of things I say were deemed word salad, and look what turned out to be true.
What?
So, just give it some time. You'll figure it out.
I don't know. Like, what gravitational what extra force is working on, say, rain or snow when it falls?
There's an apparent force disequilibrium.
I'm going to state
to be present, and that explains the alignment. That explains a gradient, pressure gradient. That explains so many things. The problem is you can't prove it. It's an aberration.
Or it doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's fine if you want to close your eyes to everything. But yeah.
Well, I mean,
you have really.
Do you know what snow
and water
is?
You have a closed loop explanation. It's perfectly fine.
It's expanded water, and when it gets to a smaller size, it falls down because it's denser than the air around it.
That was really nice. I know.
Well, I mean, where's the extra force? Like, what extra is going on?
Doesn't explain the alignment, doesn't explain the direction.
But what does directional realignment mean? What does that mean, Arwen?
It means that if you, in a stable force disequilibrium stable setup, put matter in a body. Now I can explain it.
Arwen.
He asked me a direct question. Right. So if you have like his setup with the different layers of oil and water and whatever, in a stable force disequilibrium setup, like a stably accelerating car, then the alignment of these layers will eventually, once the motion has engaged, realign themselves. They will tilt in
because
a very
of their
specific
relative
alignment. They will realign.
Yeah, because of their relative density compared to each other. They will realign each other in layers.
I can't hear you.
Well, like because of the the different densities of those liquids still align themselves in layers,
Yeah, of course they do.
right? So that's what directional realignment is.
No.
So it's not what you
but
just
the thing
explained.
is that there is a shift taking place. That is
You
the
can't
issue.
even answer that question.
What are you talking about? Who are you?
Hey, Arwen.
Who are you, Arwen?
Who are me?
Yeah, who are you? Is that what you just asked?
I'm Arwen.
Who am I?
I don't know who you are, so
Why do I have to be somebody?
just don't recognize you, that's all.
Okay.
I'm Batman.
I don't believe you.
Batman.
Somebody to love.
Okay,
Can
so
we get to housekeeping?
yeah, any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
No. It's an aberration.
Daylight
Come on,
is an
Arwen.
aberration. Daylight is an aberration. But the sun,
Arwen.
it's quite
Arwen,
easily explained optical phenomena that you can reproduce, actually.
Where's your famous answer, Arwen?
There is no distance to the sun?
There you go.
Right.
Next question.
Any evidence
But
of a
still,
south?
daylight is an aberration. It's very relevant too. You have
Beautiful.
no idea how it's actually coming into being.
What's an aberration again?
Aberration is an unexplained yet very present phenomena that may give you suggestions of how things may be working. Like, oh, look, there's daylight. There has to be a lamp there or something. That is typically an aberration, a suggestive phenomena that you can't find actual proof for it. But
So,
it is very
the sun,
suggestive in
you're saying
nature.
the sun gives off heat, so there should be a heat source for it, or a source of fuel, basically,
Yeah,
right?
well, if
That's
you're
an
going to see
aberration.
light, then you're going to assume that it's coming from a thing, a lamp or something. But we can't prove this.
Arwen, can I ask you a question about this word aberration? Is it
Yeah.
your latest development and you have to get the word aberration in to justify the gravity claim because you've just learnt the word aberration?
No.
Oh, nice.
No,
A new word
aberration.
Do you know what the?
I mean, I'll be honest.
Aberration since I was 17. So
I'll be honest. I learnt the word reification about a fortnight ago, and I now love it, and I notice it all the time. And I'm just wondering if you just learnt the word aberration and you slipped it in somewhere.
no.
You sure?
I kind of knew it was going to end up there because it's in my knowledge base.
Do you know what the etymology is of the word, Arwen? Do you know what the etymology? Do you know where it comes from?
I knew that if I was going to have to concede with gravity, that it would be an aberration, basically. So I was already seeing it coming eventually.
Sounds like to me that you've just learnt the word aberration.
No, I haven't.
Be careful, Arwen. We'll know when you're
Sorry,
lying.
but I'm very
I
well
understand
educated.
why-
I'm very linguistically well educated when
But
I was
Arwen,
young. Okay, they were
I
very
understand
strict
why.
with me.
I get why Riley's asking that question because it seems like you're using that word a lot right now.
Yeah,
and you didn't
because
really
it's
use
relevant.
it before. No, and I get that, but you didn't really use it before when you were making your gravity argument. I think that's why Riley's saying what he's saying.
So read out the definition or the etymology at least. Supernatural appearance or manifestation, from Anglo-French apparition, Old French apparition, and 15th century used in reference to Epiphany, the revealing of Christ child to the wise men, from late Latin appaterenium, nominative appartio, an appearance, also attendance in classic Latin. Noun of action, from past participant, stem of appearance or appear, see appear, meaning ghost. First recorded in 16th century. There you go.
Thank you. That was perfect.
Arwen's wizardy magic is an aberration. Thank you.
Yes, magic, and like knowing things about people's lives that you've never met at a distance and being able to communicate that is also definitely an aberration.
Can I just check?
There are many aberrations in this world.
Can I just
an aberration.
Can I just check what the second letter of your word, Arwen? Is it B for Bertie or is it P for Peter?
What?
The word aberration, is it AB or is it AP?
Ish. AB.
Aberration.
Just
Oh,
wondering
well, I
if we were
gave
mishearing the
apparition.
word
I gave a
aberration.
different definition then, so I misheard what you were saying.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
apparition. Yeah, apparition comes close, but it is more. Yeah, that's more. Well,
Apparition
I think
is a
we
ghost.
could say that the sun is an apparition, in a sense. But an
No, you
aberration
can't,
is like
Owen.
more.
An apparition would be I took a bunch of acid and when I was 17 and saw
Aberration
Trump
mostly
being the president.
emphasizes an evasive nature.
In America, when we say apparition, usually we're talking about like something sort of like a ghost. That's what we call ghost out here. When we don't say the word ghost,
Yeah.
we call it an apparition.
Like gravity.
could be described
Like
like
gravity,
that.
right,
Oh,
Owen?
gravity.
No,
The ghost of gravity.
no.
It's just a bunch of ghosts
but
pulling everything
it's
down.
mostly optical. Like apparition more applies to an optical, a seen thing that is apparent. It's related to it. Aberration is just something that is very unusual, or how do you say, elusive in nature, or even like suggesting something that's not there.
Yeah, that's
Like
like
a-
Yeah, that's
Aberration
what
is
we
more like an anomaly. I would
Yeah,
call it.
exactly.
Yeah, but you're describing something like you just said it yourself, describing something that isn't really there.
It's not like an anomaly. An anomaly is like an out of the ordinary occurrence. So, for instance, if in this picture now the sun suddenly vanished for a second or two and then came back, that would be an anomaly.
Hold on. In typical scientific approach, anomaly is usually like an exceptional situation, and that's not what this is, really. Anomaly
so
is
it's
like,
not
there's
so,
like
yeah,
a weird
that's what we're
anomaly
saying.
there for some reason.
Well, we're saying it's the
unique.
norm. Relative density.
That's not what it
the-
is. It's an
that's
aberration.
what-
It's something that's very consistent.
Okay.
Do you know, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, Arwin. I'll be honest.
I know.
Here's all I gotta say about the subject. Last touch. Coming soon to a theater near you. Starring Arwinian Gravity, the documentary you all be waiting for. Aberration.
Hey, Anon. How you doing? Hello, new guest, Anon. How you doing?
Hello, Mike.
Nice. Thank
Oh,
you
with
for
my
that.
mic on? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so embarrassed.
Anamoto, are you there?
I'm right here.
Hello,
Good to have
hello,
you.
hello. What side of the fence do you sit on, sir?
I was here yesterday, or
Who's in before?
Oh, I might not have been here then.
That's true.
So, Anamoto, do you have you been listening to Arwin's position on gravity?
I thought he flipped.
Yeah, he seems to have slipped.
No. So is he back on the wagon?
Yeah, he's
think
flopped.
so.
He's flopped.
Oh no.
I'm still the exact same position.
You're definitely not in the exact same position.
Yeah, I am.
Just
Before,
don't piss him off, man.
hold on. Before
Listen.
I claimed, I might find some proof for it. Right? That's what I kept saying every time. You laughed about everything, and we had all this
honestly, I just
typical
don't like.
stuff. Now I say no, there is no proof, and I'm pretty sure we're not gonna find it. And I declare it's an aberration, and that's an alternative explanation to all the phenomena that I dealt with that would suggest that it is there.
But we all understood your position when you said that like a week ago when we got it. But now you're saying that you're in the same position, and we're like, well, what is that position? And nobody understands what you're on about.
No, I think that you really don't understand it, and other people may be getting a hint slightly,
so-
or they're just letting it sink like you should be.
Let's ask the panel: is there anybody that understands what Arwin's current position is?
No, I have no idea. He won't even answer like the directional realignment. He can't answer that.
What? What are you trolling, man? That's ridiculous.
I'm not a troll, you fuck. You're more of a troll than I ever am.
Who the hell are you, man?
You all are understanding.
What does that have to do with directional realignment? Who am
Hey,
I?
can I change the subject?
Yeah, be my guest.
Yeah. So I was reading. You always talk about the R value or whatnot.
Excellent segue.
Sorry.
Any evidence of the R value? We've got
And,
one more
sorry,
question
not
after
the
that,
R
but
value,
I'll use it.
but-
I'll take
but-
that segue.
Not the R value, but the spherical Earth thing, the molten core. I was reading I was on Hacker News, which I shouldn't be. I don't really necessarily like that place, but sometimes I just go in there and see what's going on. They were talking about this. They pasted an article about the ice cube detectors. You guys know anything about the ice cube detector for neutrinos down in Antarctica? Any information on this story?
Sounds expensive.
What about the neutrinos?
Apparently, they used it to get a graph of the inside of the Earth. It was over my head. I was reading it, but anything involving Antarctica or I don't necessarily believe it. But I just thought that you guys. I don't have the article. Maybe I'll paste it somewhere on this chat later on when I get to work. I have it at work. But I don't have it right now. I just want to know if you guys have heard about the ice cube neutrino detector in Antarctica, or have you guys looked into it?
So
any bullshit or what?
Maybe. Are they measuring core samples for neutrinos?
No. They're measuring neutrinos in the air. That because neutrinos apparently travel through the Earth because they're not affected by anything. They can travel through things, but certain things block them, and they can detect more at a certain angle, and that shows that there is some sort of a core. I don't know. It's a lot of I don't know.
We have to start by understanding what a neutrino actually is. I'm not too familiar, so.
Yeah, so for the house calling or house, cleaning, I just thought that you guys heard this because this is a relatively new thing. It came out like 4 days ago.
Elementary particle.
Yeah, just Google if you can. Neutrinos ice cube is the name of the detector, not the rapper, but ice cube detector, Antarctica, and then Earth core, and then do news or whatever, and then search for like the past 1 week, and you might see a hit on it. I don't have it. I'm in bed. Sorry.
Just looked up the definition, and there's one little troubling sentence. So it says, although only differences of squares of three mass values are known as of 2016, cosmological observations imply that the sum of three masses must be less than 1/1,000,000th that of the electron. So, if it implies that, then I think we can just take that as read.
Yeah, a lot of implies and refers and indicates.
Yeah, going to like the quantum levels, I think it's just not a lot of people spend a lot of time thinking about it at that size, whether they even do actually things become particles or not. I don't know.
Ever since I became a flat earther, the whole quantum computer thing is kind of fishy to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things out there that are above a lot of people's heads that I remember. I should know a lot more about it, but there was this lady, forgot her name or anything. She was this blonde girl that developing a way of rapid blood tests or something, and then she almost got like $1 billion worth of funding, and then it all fell apart because people found out she was just using outdated machinery and just sort of, good at fooling people that she had newer technology than what she actually did. But she did make a lot of money from it, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what they're doing, what equipment is involved with measuring neutrinos in ice cubes. It just sounds a little bit weird.
Ice cube? No. Ice cube is the name of the neutron detector that's located somewhere in Antarctica. That's just the name of it. It's some sort of a machine that detects.
Yeah, I wonder why they would have to do it in Antarctica.
Because it's at the bottom of the Earth, or maybe it's. I have no idea.
Seems like you could just.
I just thought if you guys, like to go down these rabbit holes and trying to find flaws in their stories. I thought that you guys had already gone down the Ice Cube rabbit hole, and realized that it's a hunk of bullshit, or maybe it's something you might find interesting. I did do a little bit of digging, but not a lot. Just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah. You're interested in that sort of stuff?
I'm not necessarily interested in it. I'm interested in finding bullshit.
You'll definitely find bullshit in Gravity in here.
Yeah, well, if you've got no affirmative replies from everybody, I'll move on to the last housekeeping question. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, Paul Voigt.
I think we covered the R value, so cool. We're all good.
42 minutes that took.
Well, technically it took 2 shows, because the first show I asked any signs of curvature. It was asserted from the chat by UKPI that he'd just been smashed on that very subject by Miles Davis. So then we had to take him by the hand, which took about 30 minutes. And no concessions, so he ended up getting kicked out because of 3 times or 4 times asking him to actually concede the nonsense he'd asserted, to dilute the stunning victory had by Anthony in terms of the glorious flat earth proof that Miles has been recently punting around using an old fallacy, the begging the question, perspective hijacking, proof of nothing curve calculator, along with a side-on view and total exclusion of any perspective. So obviously these guys have ran along with it, Adam included. Big shout out to Adam Meakin, who's live on a Friday night with Iron Realm Media, and he just took it and applied a bit of perspective to it, and obviously it all fell apart at the seams. So now they're trying to obfuscate and distract because they've suddenly realised we haven't forgotten about that particular debunking that we have now understood and know and have been punting for ages. That's why it's called the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator. Don't know what he was thinking. Anyway, that took a long time. Now we're at the end of the second show and we finally covered the last housekeeping question because of lots of things that come up in housekeeping. That's why we do it. Got to keep house. And now we're at the end of the second show and clean house. Great.
Maybe we were going. I remember like 6 months ago, the perspective thing in like figuring out that the Earth calculator is not up, or it's leaving out perspective. I was wondering if we could go through that again because I just can't. I'm just not as clear on it as I was. That I could explain to somebody, but now I sort of forgot.
Sure, it's not that it leaves out perspective. It completely hijacks it. It's using perspective. So what the calculator basically does in the broad strokes of it is put you looking at the observation taking place. That's why whenever they show it you can see you, the observer, holding your camera, and the thing you're looking at in side profile. You're looking at it from the side. Well, when they do that, it means that they can maintain the actual sizes of things in feet and inches, which is what you put into the calculator, right? The sizes of stuff. Well, that's excluding perspective. So they've literally taken perspective out of the equation. But what you're comparing it to is actual photography that obviously includes perspective. But they've hijacked it. They've just taken perspective and called it curve calculator. That's why it gets the title, the proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator.
Begging the question.
Yeah, well, begging the question is the R value. I left that out because that's a separate issue. The fact that it has an R value to begin with, very keen for them to adjust the right height and make sure you got the right distance and know the exact height of the thing you're looking at. Oh, right. Well, what's this value here then? Radius? Isn't that what you're trying to prove? Well, you've already got a radius value, so we don't need to do anything with this calculator. We've already got a radius, right? Let's see where that radius came from. Oh, it's just assumed, is it? In the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking curve calculator. But to answer your question, they just remove you from the actual observation altogether so they can maintain actual sizes rather than relative sizes, and relative size is what you get when you look at something. Things are relative to each other based on their distance. Well, if you can ignore that, that's very useful, because you can then engineer in curvature. So it's not that it leaves out perspective, it's completely hijacked it.
Yeah.
Nathan,
Yes.
we've got
Sorry.
Michael Bowmer in chat that says, quote, geodesy shows that the Earth has a spherical shape. Do you want to address that?
No, it doesn't.
Let me do it. It only does it in maths, mate. Doesn't do it in real world. Just maths, calculations. That's it. That's not showing that the Earth's got a spherical shape. Empirical evidence is showing that the Earth's got a spherical shape, and there is none. The only way that you can do it is by doing it in maths, because you guys believe that maths is reality, and we all know, of course, it certainly is not.
It's another exclusion of perspective. So you've got people like, who's the guy that does the geodesy stuff? I've forgotten his name. Anybody?
Do you mean... What you mean? What's his name?
It's on the tip of my tongue too.
Jesse Kozlowski, is that
Jesse
what you're talking about?
Kozlowski, that's it. So Jesse Kozlowski has a target, which is another theodolite, and he looks through his theodolite and says, look, it's lower than my crosshairs, therefore that's the curve of the Earth, right? Well, no. Objects get smaller and drop towards the horizon by virtue of them getting smaller at distance, something which is completely ignored by Jesse when he makes his observation. So he does it at a nice high elevation, I noticed. I remember him being at 300 or 400 feet. It's like, oh, right, no getting down the beach for Mr. Jesse Kozlowski. You know, he's up at 300 feet doing this. But what he's essentially observing is that the other theodolite, at whatever distance he's looking at it, has dropped and got closer to the horizon. Of course, it's smaller and further away. That's what happens. Things get smaller, therefore sink towards the horizon. Not to mention the fact that they use the horizon in the first place, an arbitrary point in the distance that's ever changing, that is the apparent position where the ground meets the sky. Well, apparent position, my ass. Who cares? Can we go to this apparent position? Can we measure it specifically? Of course not. It's just an apparent position based on your altitude and what you can see on the given day, given the bloody weather conditions. It's a meaningless measure, but they use it all the time.
Like a rainbow.
The other thing that Jesse Kozlowski didn't realize is that because a theodolite has got lenses in it, and this is the point I was trying to make to Miles, a theodolite, a telescope, a camera, anything with lenses in it, the light gets refracted through the lens by application of the Snell's law, and that's the reason why theodolites are only accurate over short distances, because the further away you go from the source, i.e. the theodolite, because the light's been bent as it's come through the lens, it means that only over short distances are they accurate because of the effect of that refraction. Now, the further away you go, say to a 40 miles away horizon, it's significantly inaccurate because there is a vertical adjustment caused by the refraction in the lens. Miles wasn't aware of it. It's got a name called collimation. And I got wind of it because I saw Jesse Kozlowski's discussion with Chris Van Matre, and Chris pointed this out to Jesse, and Jesse wasn't aware of it. And when he pointed it out, Jesse had to accept and admit that he would go away and test it because he was not aware of this. And Chris is saying, you've got to go, you have to understand that this is a thing. So Jesse said that he would go away and do it. Now, I don't know what the result of it was, but what I do know is that Chris pointed out something, that Jesse Kozlowski, the god that he's perceived to be by the ballers, did not know about this. And obviously collimation is a thing. Maz didn't know about it either. And this is not really acceptable with the claim that we live on a sphere Earth because the horizon is lower than it should be. Well, it will be lower than that because of refraction within the instrument itself. And this collimation thing does need to be considered because it does alter the horizon, especially over long distances. And obviously a horizon will be over long distances.
Oh, if I can break in for a short moment. Nathan, earlier you talked about anomaly versus aberration. The funny thing is I looked it up. It's basically a synonym. It's considered a synonym. So yeah, either could apply, I guess.
Excellent. So my etymology is partially correct, but the word might be different.
Well, it is pretty much similar in nature if you look at the total meanings.
Okie dokie. Well, you keep looking for that ghostly gravity, my friend.
I don't have to look for it. The anomaly is clearly there. Indeed, it is spooky.
Whilst I see it, I'm just looking in chat, and I saw Roxanne, the globalist denier, and she was telling me to give a plug to a channel that is another activist that's massively undersubscribed. She's a woman in her 60s, and she's in the States, but she's literally had a bit like, you know, when IPS got in front of the councillors in the council meeting, and he basically said that I am Mark Sargent. She's had a moment like that in front of her councillors or board of governors for a local high school. And basically, she's flat smacked them all, and she's got it on her channel. So I'm going to give this plug to a woman called Marilyn Spirit Level. It's 3 words, and Marilyn is spelled the same as you spell it with Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Spirit Level. Make sure you go and check her channel out and just give her some love, because she needs it, because she's massively undersubscribed, and she's a lady in her 60s, and she's fighting the good fight, and she's not. No one realizes that she's there. So jump over to her channel, give her a sub, give her a like, and then just let her know that where you've come from, so she understands where all these subs come from, and because she'll get like a decent amount of subs. But check out some of her activism videos. She's epic. She's really, really good. So if you're interested in activism, and this woman's in school, like giving the good fight, and no one knows about her, but she's definitely giving a good fight. So it's worth mentioning her. Just to get some subs over her way so that we can get to know a little bit more about what she's doing, because it's interesting what she's doing. It's really good.
What's the name again?
Marilyn space Spirit space Level. I'll type it in chat.
Cool. While you're plugging stuff, I'll plug my second channel. So if you're a late riser in the States, after this show ends in about 10 minutes time, I've been putting it in the chat anyway, so you can click on that link. I'll do it again in a minute. But the pre-show, so the warm-up, with Anthony discussing the tete-a-tete between himself and Miles the Liar Davis. So the pre-show before the show actually went live gets broadcast the second this one finishes. So check out that. I'll put a link in the info box. And once this show finishes, we obviously carry on chatting, and that gets aired at 4 AM or 0400 GMT, which is middle of the afternoon, maybe 3 o'clock for the Aussies there or thereabouts, and maybe 7 in the evening, 6, 8 in the evening, whatever you are in the States. So that's when the after show gets broadcast. So 12 hours after the show gets finished, there is the after show broadcast on, again, my second channel. So click on the link. I'll put it in the chat now, and you can check out the pre-show as soon as this show finishes, and the after show in 12 hours time.
And before that, there's of course the Flat Earth Early Bird show, 1 hour before the debates, on my channel, Arwin.
Spell it.
ARWIJN.
So that's the Early Bird show. So while I'm setting up and recording my pre-show live there and then, so 1 p.m. 1 p.m. GMT or 0100 GMT. No, that's not right. 1300, sorry, GMT. There's Arwin's Early Bird show over on the Arwin channel. So there's loads of stuff. We're keeping the content churned out. And today, while Early Bird was broadcasting, as I mentioned earlier, there's Miles Davis and Anthony going at it about Miles's rather exceptional flat earth proof that he's put out, but used a very old 2017 style proof by excluding perspective and putting the actual observation into a side profile or orthographic view, so that he can ignore perspective and then beg the question, use a calculator that already assumes we've got a radius to try and prove we've got a radius. So it's a bit of a crap attempt, but very nice flat earth proof nonetheless when you actually look at it in any detail without the assertions of a liar strapped onto it. So yeah, check out Early Bird, check out the pre-show, check out my second channel, check out Marilyn. Anything else we need to plug?
What about that vegan goy channel? You guys into that at all, or his channel? It's a little bit weird.
I've not seen Vegan Goy, and although I have heard him mention a couple of times that he's got a channel, and he was sort of plugging. Who's he plugging? Oh yeah, she's gone.
He was on there yesterday with Nami No.
Vinegar Strokes.
A bunch of other people.
Yeah, Vegan does a hangout himself. You say he doesn't really have a specific time for it, but he doesn't try to step on anybody else's toes. So, I mean, in America, it comes on a little bit in the afternoon. Not sure exactly, but yeah, he does usually have a hangout. Pretty open, talk about whatever topics, you know. Cool.
Oh yeah, and I like there's a conference, a Flat Earth conference in Denver, apparently now.
Yes, indeed. I'll give a proper plug to that. I'll be honest, I did actually tune into it while this show was running. I was like in the chat going, I really should be paying attention to the debate. But the channel is called Flat Earth International Conference, and they are streaming various different bits of the states conference that's going on right now. So yeah, that's been running while we've been streaming, and I assume it will run throughout the day wherever you may be. If you're tuned into this live, if you're watching on the rerun, I'm sure there is also a bit of what do they call it? FEIC, got to get it right, 2018, streaming somewhere. There's also loads of the participants that are YouTubers, so they've all got access to the live streaming function on their phones. So I noticed periodically last night there's people just, sticking a stream out and chatting to various different YouTubers. So it is actually very entertaining to try and keep abreast of what's going on with FEIC 2018. So check them out too. Anything else at all that anyone wants to plug? I'll round out this show.
About the conference.
How would you pronounce that? FEIC in British?
Veek
as a word. Veek? Right.
About the conference, did I get it right? This physical conference in Denver, right? Like not only online, where people meet, or what is it?
We talked about that one just before.
Yeah, I didn't have internet before. I'm sorry. So is it from the same guy who hosted the conference where everyone screamed, "We are not crazy"?
Yeah, Robbie Davidson.
Ah, right. Okay. Fine. Perfect.
Shout out to the
shout
trolls
to
in the
Robbie.
chat, including MG42 Pillbox, Christian fundamentalist. Thank you.
Shout out to Retracted.
Massive shout out to everyone at the conference, including Robbie for organising it. So yeah, big shout out to you guys. Hope you're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wish I was over there now. I wasn't bothered about it until I saw Karen B's post in their feed chat, and I was like, and now I really want to be there.
Yeah, I was watching IPS's live stream, and it's just cool watching like IPS interacting with Robbie Davidson and Patricia Steer and various other people in his live stream. It's like, hey, how's it going? And then going and seeing the rocket. He went and live streamed Mad Mike, and he got the rocket in there, and you've got like a massive auditorium. I was like, whoa, hello.
I wonder how the media reports about it, because about the last conference, they kind of reported it like crazy people meeting. And the only part I remember from the media report is the part where they scream, "We are not crazy." And then I was like, all right, sure. Those are flat earthers. And yeah, but this was before I joined the Hangout.
Fair enough. With that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. You've probably done it already. But if you liked the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. Also, check out Nathan Oakley channel, where as soon as I finish this show, the pre-show that was run before this one will air for the first time, so check that out. I'll also leave a link in the chat box. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Winter,
A little.
anything like that, any kind of shift.
Yeah, they call it tropical, don't they, for that reason?
Yeah, a little. I mean, I'm pretty near the equator right now in Thailand, and the temperature shifts like almost nothing in the winter and summer. But yes, you can see the seasons by looking at the plants when they lose the leaves and so on.
Yeah, but that's the plant cycle. But that doesn't mean there's literally weather-related seasons happening.
What about the
Is there
plant
some like
orientation?
up and down shift, like less warm, a little bit warmer, less warm, a little bit warmer? Is there something like that?
A little
On the
bit,
equator?
really?
Yeah,
little
at the
bit?
equator regions.
Just some
There's
degrees.
more rain.
Yeah,
that might-
okay, of course, but
Like in
I'm just
California,
talking
where I
about
used to live, it did only really rain in the winter.
So,
right.
so that there is only winter and summer. There isn't like spring and autumn. You know, only 2 seasons, pretty much.
But the
And
sun's not
How
very
does
high.
how does that fit in between the 2 seasons or the 4 seasons of the north and the south? Beyond that, I'm just trying to picture at what's happening.
Well, the sun's just moving closer or further away from the equator, right? The rotation of the sun. It's either expanding, like it's a little bit out, fatter, a bigger donut, or it's a smaller donut.
You can't. The sun is not anywhere.
It's in the sky, Arwen.
It's only an apparition.
No,
Yeah.
your postulation of gravity realignment or something.
The sun is
a
an apparition, and daylight is an aberration.
But
You
honestly,
can't prove that
on
the
a
sun
flat
is not a
Earth,
physical object.
No, it's not a physical object.
You can't prove that.
You can't prove that it is.
people just kind of assume that it is because, you know,
I
pretty
don't
much
assume that at all. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, Arwen. I have a question, man. Do you realize that directional is just a language thing, right? This doesn't exist on things, right? You do realize this.
Nah, sorry.
It's not like Cherry knows what's up or down or anything.
The
And
cherry doesn't have
think-
consciousness.
Exactly. And I think the problem is that you're trying to, like, when you say what's making it rearrange, it's just a language thing. It's just a
realign,
word.
not rearrange.
Well, whatever, realign is the same thing. It's just a language thing. It's just
No, it's not a language thing.
It is.
It is visible. It's visibly provable that this happens.
But see, this is what I don't think you. This is what you don't understand. It's a construct of how we communicate.
Right.
Yeah. For things, there's no up and down or anything. Things just based on their
This is not a consciousness-driven process.
Hold on.
It's not a consciousness-driven process. That type of conceptualization is
Exactly.
absolutely
And
absurd.
what you're doing is your input is a conscious one. Conscience one.
What? No.
Yeah.
There's only, look, directionality
And
is
you're basically
there.
taking a phenomenon and you're turning it into words somehow.
Exactly. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
That's
you
why-
got to describe a phenomena. Yeah, that's what you got to do to actually.
But the
Well,
phenomenon isn't a
something
result of
doing
your
with it,
words, Arwen. Your words are a result of something you observe. So
Yeah.
whether
Duh.
you come up with the most fantastic word for it, it doesn't make it real. What you're saying.
Well, the observation is there.
Because directional realignment, just as opposed to like just observe, like your gravity basically is directional realignment, is what you're saying. That's what Arwen's
No.
gravity is.
No. No, that's absolutely not what it is. It just is a phenomena that easily suggests that there is gravity, that there is a force disequilibrium downward at all time in a stationary fashion. That's what it suggests heavily.
Everything
not
can be
true,
explained without
Yeah, it
that.
is true.
That is not true.
Yes, it is true, and I explained why.
Okay, explain again.
It's very simple. You can, like, take away the relative density. You can do that, and then explain
You
it
actually
to
can't
the
take
gravity
away
system
relative
model.
density.
Hold
There's no
on,
experiment to show
I'm
it,
not
'cause
gonna
you
explain
can't
it then.
remove
You don't want me to
all
explain
the
it?
stuff out of a
Right.
state.
Okay, I'll just leave then. Yeah, you can just believe whatever you like. It's good for you. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Does everyone here agree with Arwin on the non-physical sun?
No.
On the what?
Non-physical sun. So he says that the sun is like many locations. One.
Arwin thinks the sun is a reflection on the inside of your eyeball.
What it means by that, it means like if you're let's say on Texas and I'm in Michigan, we're gonna see the sun, and it's gonna be relative to our position on whatever this is, the Earth.
Yeah. So, but I heard, or maybe I misunderstood, but what I heard was that the sun doesn't have a fixed location. It's non-physical. It's just there, but at the same time, you couldn't reach it. For example, you couldn't touch it, and so on, right? So it is a non-physical object. Do you agree with this definition?
Not, because if there's no ears to hear something, there's still sound. Like something can still make noise even if nobody hears it. If no physical person can actually ever go to the sun and touch it, it doesn't mean it's not physical. It just means that if it's in a density layer that it's too hard for us to get to, then we're never going to get there. But
okay, in a density layer, there's too much density, or what?
Well, like too little density, so we can't.
Too little density. Okay, yeah.
Well, so like that, yeah. I mean, what do you think's up there?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
why is the sky blue? Because it's the color of oxygen, probably.
I can assume things, right? I mean, I can't prove those things, but long time ago, and now still a little, since I'm not completely a flat earther, the explanation of a sun burning hydrogen into helium, like fusing hydrogen into helium, kind of makes sense to me, right? But yet, when I kind of rethink those things, the only explanation that could fit on a flat Earth, I think, is that the sun can't be at a fixed location, because otherwise, when you move away from it, or when it moves away from you, it would reduce in angular size, wouldn't it? And yet the sun always has the same angular size in the sky. So it can't be a physical object.
I don't think the sun actually has the same size. When you look at it, it actually gets bigger or smaller depending on where it is. It's interesting. I think it actually gets, I've seen pictures of it getting larger as it gets closer to the horizon.
Well, I think it has been proven that the sun always stays the same in the angular size, because people have done the same observation when looking through solar filters. When you don't look through solar filters, it might appear to you as it grows and shrinks in angular size.
Yeah, I remember now. It got to the point where we couldn't figure out the actual size because, like you said, when you filter it, there's a smaller ball inside the ball you're seeing. So I never saw anybody track the sun with a filter the whole day. But I won't agree that the sun is the same size always. I don't think it.
I think I've seen one video where someone did it. And yes, I think there are many other videos on YouTube. I can't share them right now with you because on my phone, and I have limited amount of internet, because of Wi-Fi here is really bad. So if you look on the internet, like sun through solar filter, and then you can see like a time lapse of the sun, you can see that it stays the same in angular size throughout the whole day, which is kind of what would fit with a globe Earth and not a flat Earth. If you assume that the sun is a physical object with a certain distance and certain position.
I still can't get on that the sun doesn't change its size, because you see the moon some days, the moon looks like it is so giant, and then other days it's like way, way, way up there in the sky. So whether they're actually not only like rotating around in a donut shape, but also changing the height they are, because that could throw you off too. If they are actually floating up higher than their normal spot, or whether they like go up and down in height as well as the rotation, that could be what's throwing a lot of people off.
Oh, you mean from the viewer's position, or?
Well, just from relative to where the ground is, the height of the moon or the sun. If that was changing as well as it was rotating, then it would be especially hard to track or figure out its size. But I don't know if it changes like that. But for me, I think the sun is physical.
Yeah. Well,
it could just be.
I think, as I said, if it's or let's say like the moon, because there you don't need a solar filter for this observation. I know that moon can appear depending on where you are. It can appear to be larger or smaller, but I think it's due to our brain that kind of likes to compare things with other things in the sky. So when the moon is up and there are like mountains next to it, the moon might look at a different size as when you look at the moon on the sea, when nothing is like comparable to the moon. So to measure its angular size, you can take a camera and zoom so much in that you can only see the moon and nothing else in it, and then you compare it on throughout the night, right? And then you can see if the moon changed in angular size or not. That's by bare eye. Yeah.
You could also just like make markings on your thumb. You hold it out towards the moon, and you mark how the size on your finger, I guess. And then if it changed, you'd be able to tell that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the camera as well.
I think it would be really worth trying it. Because I haven't done it myself. I've just seen videos of people who've done it. It could be like fake. Those videos could be like faked. I don't know. But until I did it for myself, I can't really verify it. But if it doesn't change in size throughout the day and night, I think flat Earth has kind of problem explaining this phenomena with a physical object.
Yeah, because I remember last time everybody was talking about it, maybe 8 months ago or something. There was a lot of footage of the sun. They were doing footage of the sun going into the horizon, which is where it got really weird, because you could have all sorts of this weird stuff happening, like it would reverse, look like it's coming up from the bottom, and then you put a filter on, and then it's the actual sun's in a different spot than what you're seeing. So, yeah, observing it up in the sky is one thing, but then observing it while it's disappearing into the horizon is another thing as well to look at.
Yeah, and there's still, I mean, when I watch the photos, videos, and so on of people showing me things disappearing to the angle of view, this is kind of what made me rethink the position of a globe Earth, right? This didn't completely convince me, because there are still so many issues, I think, that to be explained on a flat Earth, that I just can say, all right, maybe the Earth isn't a globe, but I can say the Earth is flat, right? Maybe it's something else. So I think, you think?
I was just going to say the interesting thing for, I was just thinking about right then, was for the globe Earth and everything, it's just interesting that they have to have the explanation of where everything came from. Like the Big Bang has to be there for it all to work, which is like they're arguing from a point where they know the beginnings of the universe, whereas we're just on the side of just being able to explain what observations are and not like go into all of that. Like, I don't know how you could possibly figure out where it all came from. Like, and suppose it, and like say there was a big bang, and then like that's just being connected to things like that. Like people that take that as like think that's real is just to me that it I just can't associate with people like that. It's just like you can't have intelligent conversation about other stuff because they're believing in such utter bullshit. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
how could it have happened like that? A big bang.
I mean, I think this comes from I think the biggest branch of the research comes from from astronomy, right? From astronomy on the Big Bang. So they kind of looked at the universe, how it is right now, and then they figured it. I think they figured that when the universe expands, it has to like it redshifts for light. And then they looked also at the microwave background, and then they somehow could establish that the universe is like 13 billion years old, and then that it had to start at a single point, which of course aren't things you can test for yourself. These are just things you can assume with certain data, and I don't have the data for it, and I don't have the knowledge or understanding to defend the Big Bang Theory, right? I just can explain to you what I remember from this.
Well, I see where maybe Zinder, where if you're still, if you think that it's a ball and there's a sun far away, millions of miles away and everything, but then if you believe in a couple things like the gas fusion bomb, hydrogen bomb, sun and everything, it's like, do you have to believe it all? Like, do you have to believe in the Big Bang as well, and that there's stars, and like then you're gonna get to a point like you specifically could believe that it's still a ball, but not believe in like the Big Bang and all the hocus pocus,
I don't think I have to believe in the Big Bang if I believe in a ball. I mean, I don't have to believe in the certain distance of the sun. I don't have to believe how big it is, because I can choose to believe it.
Yeah.
I can't test it for myself, right? I can't prove it for myself. And this is why a society has experts. And the trust in experts has kind of lowered over the years, when I think this is also a result of the flat Earth movement. And I say I can't. I don't even know if I really believe it, right? I just say, all right, they say it. I can't prove it. All right, maybe it is true, maybe not.
Hey, Xander?
Yeah,
Hi,
that doesn't mean
Xander.
you have to believe it.
Yeah, Xander, this is George Hnatiuk here. I have a question for Daniel. How far away do you think that the sun is?
Well, to start coming up with something, you would probably have to figure out.
No, I'm not asking you to figure it out. Just tell me, what do you think that the sun, how far away is the sun from the Earth? What is your understanding right now? How far away is the sun from the Earth?
Are you going to let me answer the fucking question, bro?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just asking, just give me a number.
Well, I mean, for some people, it isn't really about having a number locked in. Like, that's what Zinder and I were talking about is he, like, if you believe it's a ball, but you don't believe in the mathematics behind how it all works, then it's sort of, how can you even believe in the ball then?
What? I'm not asking about the shape of the Earth or the shape of the sun. I'm just saying, we see a light in the sky. How far away is that light?
Well, if you figured out the layers of density to the point where the sun could be sitting there, then that's where it would be somewhere. But I don't know what the
Well,
layers are
give me a
and how
ballpark.
thick they
Hundreds of
are.
miles. Give me a ballpark. Hundreds of miles, thousands of miles, tens of thousands, millions. How far away?
Just not at a point where I can give you a
right?
clear answer on that. So I know it would.
Look, I covered
No,
this.
no. Look,
No, I covered this in the hangout. It's
you're gonna-
93
you're gonna
million
make me-
miles away, 150 million kilometers.
Do you
Okay.
think you could see something that far away?
Yeah, very easily.
How? How is that even possible? Things go out into the
Photons-
distance 30 miles and you can't see them
Photons
anymore.
travel indefinitely. Photons of light travel indefinitely.
You're already
have
on
no
a.
limit. They don't get weak. They don't fade out with distance. A photon remains its same energy strength no matter how
What I
far.
believe is that if something was a million miles away, there would be enough stuff in between you and the object where the photon or whatever
No,
it is would be
not
absorbed
true.
by something,
No,
and you wouldn't
not
see
true.
it.
Not true. The vacuum of space between the Earth and the Sun, there's nothing there.
You have
The
to
only
be able
thing
to
we
prove
do-
do we prove
that
there's a
when you
vacuum in
go
space,
high enough
George?
that there is a
George?
vacuum.
The
George?
only
I don't
difference,
think you
the
guys
only
have been
thing
able-
between
George,
no, the
George,
only thing,
George,
the
you
only
just asserted
hey,
the
no,
vacuum
the
of
only
space.
thing-
George,
the only
George,
thing between
hello,
the Earth
George,
and the Sun is about
George,
20
George,
miles of
hello,
atmosphere.
George. Are you ever going to shut up? So you just said because of the vacuum of space.
Yes.
Well,
There's nothing there. Vacuum means nothing.
Yeah, I heard what you asserted. How do we have gas pressure? Why am I breathing if there's a vacuum of space?
What do you mean? How can you have gas pressure?
Next to a vacuum? How is that possible?
There's no pressure next to a vacuum.
So, what are you talking about? We've got gas pressure here, right? And you just said the light travels through a
That's the
vacuum.
surface of the Earth. That is not out at the outer reaches of the atmosphere. Out at the outer reaches of the atmosphere, it's insignificant pressure. It feathers
So,
out.
at some
into
point, between the
vacuum of
insignificant
space.
pressure, there's a vacuum. Yeah, how is that possible?
No, there is. There is not pressure next to a vacuum. You have that
So
wrong.
you're saying I've got pressure here, and the light's travelling through a vacuum. What's the in-between bit then?
There's a pressure gradient. It dissipates.
Yeah, so at some
out
point,
to
the
nothing.
pressure gradient ends, and there's a fucking vacuum, you moron. Right?
Yeah.
So,
No, you're the
so
moron.
therefore, at
You're
some
the
point,
moron,
the gas
dude.
pressure ends,
You don't
and the
understand. No, you
vacuum.
don't understand.
Why are you talking over
There's
me,
no
you old bastard?
pressure.
Why are you
There's
talking
no
over me, you old bastard? I'm talking.
no
I've listened to
pressure.
your shit.
There's
Now
no
you listen to
pressure. You
me.
don't understand
Shut your
now,
mouth,
Oakley.
you old bastard. I'm talking. Shut
You're a
up.
dumb shit, Oakley. You know, you're
I'm
such a
talking and
narcissist.
you're talking over me. And I'm calling you an old bastard because you won't shut your mouth while I talk. Yeah? At some point, the pressure ends. Why are you grumpusing? You don't like this point, do you? Just like conspiracy cats. You don't like this point, do you, George? If there's a gradient, at some point, regardless of how small, there's going to be a pressure gradient next to a vacuum. Doesn't matter if you say it's a very small amount of pressure. I'm still talking, you stupid old bastard. Shut your mouth. I'm still talking, you stupid old bastard. Yeah, so George fucks off when I step in because his assertion that light travels forever through a vacuum, which he asserts is space, and then asserts we've got a pressure gradient. Yeah, okay, I'm with you. Yeah, we've got pressure. Yeah, then there's a vacuum. And when I get to the bit where it's, well, what about the in-between bit? Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. It just fades out into the vacuum. So at some point, there is pressure next to a vacuum then. Even if it's a very, very small pressure. I don't give a shit. It's pressure. And it's next to a vacuum with no barrier. That's where George fucks off. Because he's a pathetic little twat with no argument for that question. If I ask him, why am I breathing, given that you assert we've got a vacuum of space that this light travels through, suddenly he fucks off. Yeah, you pathetic weasel. Fuck off. Don't come here asserting your religious belief in a vacuum of space. I'm breathing gas pressure, you moron, you stupid old bastard. That'll be all. You carry on as you were.
Yeah, I think George just didn't think clearly about it before he came in here. He has no idea where we're at, so.
Yeah, he thinks he can come here. He thinks I've disappeared temporarily because I'm dealing with my kid. And that means I can't listen to his shit in my background, in my left ear, while I'm dealing with something else in the right. It's like, no. I can happily change a nappy and listen to you assert nonsense. Light travels forever because of a vacuum. Oh, right, so we're all believing in space suddenly, are we? We're suddenly a load of space believers like you, George, you muppet.
Yeah, he doesn't
I find
realize.
it funny.
Sorry.
Yeah, he doesn't like it when I rumpus him back. So I ask him about the gas pressure next to a vacuum. He says it doesn't work like that. So I take him through exactly how it is supposed to be working in his world, and then he fucks off. I didn't kick him, he fucked off. And it's because I wouldn't let him just constantly talk over me when he says we've got a gas pressure gradient. Yeah, I get it. Gas pressure that gets less and less. Well, there's still a vacuum eventually, according to your space religion, George. Yeah? Normally you're here defending Coriolis, aren't you? It's obviously out of your remit to defend vacuum next to space. You're just one of the wankers that comes and asserts it without any actual demonstrable proof that we could be breathing gas pressure, given that the light you're talking about travels through your religious belief of a vacuum. Muppet. Religitard. Zealot.
I think yesterday or the day before I've seen I don't know where I read it, but it was about I think 2023 or 2022, like commercial space travel around the moon for people who have money. While we are talking about the space, right? Space believing, and I wonder how they are going to pull it off. You know, how it's going to look like.
They're not.
Because,
They're not pulling any of that off. Come on.
No, I mean it's kind of funny because I wonder why haven't they done it before? Like they could fake it with like 3-4 people and say, all right, these guys went to space to just confirm the NASA stuff, right? To confirm space travel, to make it look more credible. But yes, they say it's like in 3-4 years, it's only going to be makeable, going to be commercial, because otherwise those were all people from the government who went to space. I think no private person ever went to space unless one or two. And it's kind of a risk because if you let, at some point you have to go on, right? I mean, at some point you have to let, like in 30-40 years, you have to let like 10,000 people commercial space traveling, and you kind of put yourself under pressure if you fake everything, or you. I mean, these are just assumptions of the future. I don't know how it will really look like, how they will, what they will do. But yes, it's kind of dangerous move.
Well, the fact that 50 years later, we still haven't been back to the moon, when we were able to do that in like 69, that should just tell you right there that none of that's going to happen. It's imaginary. Not possible.
Yeah.
Because we know how technology works. If we went to the moon in 69, we'd have diners there now going to lunch. Okay? Like, we know how technology works. So the fact that they haven't done they haven't gone back, huh?
Do you know how technology works?
We know technology advances, right?
Yeah, but
yeah. Okay, so how is it now? How can you conceive that it's possible that in 50 years technology has not advanced enough to just go back there like willy-nilly? How can you think?
Well,
that
I mean,
you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, from the official view of space travel, it's kind of after the moon landing, it kind of went forgotten. I mean, they like a budget of like not even 1/10 of the budget of back then, and people just lost interest in space. You know, there's
still an interest as long as NASA is still getting money. All right, tax money from us. There's still an interest in space, and the fact that we haven't been able to go back to the moon or anything like that, it's just ridiculous, man. Come on.
Yeah,
that would be like us still driving 1950 cars, okay? Still using black and white televisions. Humans don't do that.
Why would they want to go back to the moon? I mean, what's the benefit of it?
Linder.
There's nothing there.
11 first or 12 first?
Give me 1 second.
Hey, Zinder.
All right.
Are you from Europe somewhere?
From the Earth?
Europe.
I don't know.
No, are you from Europe?
I am from Europe, yeah, from Italy, but live in Zurich, so kind of Swiss, yeah. You could say I'm Swiss.
What do Europeans really think of like NASA and everything? Like, have you been to America and talked to American people about, like, is it different? They see it.
No, I've never been to America. I've been to two other continents, Africa, Asia. Never been to the American one. About what people think about NASA in Switzerland, we have way less people who think NASA is fake and so on than Americans, I think. People walk around here sometimes with NASA t-shirts or NASA pullover or something, right? Yeah, I think it's kind of in right now wearing those things. Just seen them like 1 year ago. People wearing more and more t-shirts with NASA. It's the NASA logo.
Oh, you sort of seen it sort of increase a little bit.
Yeah, and many fans I have, they are kind of fascinated by NASA. They are kind of fan of those things, space and of the pictures the Hubble telescope showed us.
There's a conspiracy that the Hubble was actually just like this other telescope. I forgot what it was called, but it's just in a plane or something that flies around.
Sophia.
Because
yeah, I mean, yeah,
that's the only way they could do it. If it's not real, then they have to be getting
Sophia.
the picture somehow. So
I was on mute. I was saying it like over and over again, and I was on mute. Sophia.
The Fuhrer.
Sophia is the name of the telescope that you're talking about that's on the plane that they claim to be Hubble.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, I wanted to get into like when I believed it was all. What did they say? It is. I wanted to get into like space and look at imagery of the galaxies and stuff, and I don't know what it was when I looked at the images. I just thought something was weird about it all. It just didn't seem. It was just unsettling to me. I don't know.
And with that, I'm going to say a massive thank you to all of the Nathan Oakley audience, which is my second channel. Subscribe if you're watching this and you're not subscribed already. And also a massive thank you to all of the after show panel for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all on the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!